everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I got to take my truck to Ford to get looked at. Yesterday I was out doing some work and heard some just very odd noises that I've never heard before. So I have no idea what that noise was. A few people said that it might be my fuel pump, so I'm gonna go get that checked out, just make sure everything's a-okay. Hasn't happened since, and there's no lights on or anything like that. So I did have the code read at AutoZone and nothing came back, so gonna go get it looked at, make sure everything's all right. Especially since we're getting our tractor this week, I need to be able to tow it to the fuel station to get fueled up, and it's also very handy when I'm doing jobs around the property. And not only that, obviously I need to get around, and it's the only vehicle I've got, so. Well, that didn't take long. Well, as I was driving to get breakfast, it started making that same noise, and my check engine light came on, so I'm really praying and hoping that this is not something major, but we'll see here in just a minute. Well, I ended up coming back home. I did not want to stay and wait all day for the truck to be done. So it's over there at the Ford dealership getting worked on right now. Turns out it was the evaporator expansion valve, which was making all of that noise. Kind of a bizarre sound. They said they've never even heard that there. So hopefully that is the cause of that very odd sound, and hopefully they get that fixed. And then I also have an oil leak out of the oil pan, so I'll have to fix that too. Unfortunately I have to order parts, so I'll have to take it back in probably next week to get that fixed. Just kind of glad it's nothing super major and something that can be fixed, so hopefully we'll get that fixed up and won't have any more problems with that. Now I was going to continue my work out in the woods cutting more small trees and saplings down, but since I don't have the truck to pull any of my brush piles, I'm probably not going to do that because I don't want to leave any trees just on the floor of the forest. You know, that's a good place for snakes to get in there. And since I'm doing all of this by hand, ideally I don't want to be pulling snakes out. Now we have been burning a couple of smaller brush piles over the last couple of days. You know, nothing too big. Most of the big stuff that we've cut down is still pretty wet, still pretty, you know, alive. So gonna let that dry out for a little bit before we burn any of that. Now I did want to show you guys something I put in my last video. Never really talked about it, just kind of in that little edit at the beginning of the couple videos ago where I was out here with Ben. But there's this chicken coop slash tack room type thing that we're not sure what we're gonna do with it, but if you guys have any ideas, let me know. So the right side of it over here was a chicken coop. I believe the previous owners had chickens in there. And then there's this kind of like shed type deal here. I'm not really sure what it is. I'll show you guys the inside, but you can see over here it is being chewed out by rats and whatever else is living up inside there. And you can walk in and see it's been pretty beat up in here. Yeah, I'm not really too sure what this room was or was supposed to be. There is electric out here that I don't think actually works, but yeah, I don't know. And then over here on this left side behind me, I'm kind of thinking maybe it was a wash rack before the one that was put in the barn. I'm not really sure. There's plumbing out here, but yeah, I don't really know. I'd love to talk with the previous owners and kind of figure out what all their plans were and kind of what these random little buildings out here were meant to be or were going to be. We don't really know too much, so we're just kind of figuring it out as we go and kind of exploring and finding new stuff on our property every day. Now I did want to show you guys a project that we did do ourselves, mainly me. Got a little bit of help from my mom and my dad on this one, just because it's kind of a difficult job to do by yourself. And this project was previous to me having this YouTube channel up and going. I really wish that I would have made the channel before I did this project, because it would have been really cool to incorporate, and I could have probably made quite a few videos on it. And I'm talking about this fence here. It's 150 feet in length, comes out from the house over there, comes over 50 feet, and then back to the deck over there. Just an area we can let the dogs out, don't have to worry about them running off into the woods or somewhere where we might not want them to be. Now obviously I've never built a fence like this before we moved here, so there are quite a few flaws with it, which I'll show you guys in a second. But overall, it's not terrible for the first time fencing. And when I say fencing, I'm talking about wood fencing. Obviously I've done a couple of the residential fences, you know, just the regular wood slats. Obviously this is much different than that. Now from a distance, it doesn't look too terrible. It's pretty straight, you know, it looks pretty tight. I wish that were the case. If you guys look here, obviously it's not super tensioned as much as we would like. It was when we first put it in and pulled the tension, and then over time it kind of just slipped up a little bit. And a lot of that has to do with these posts not being, you know, completely stamped in correctly. Also didn't put an H brace here, so all of that tension is pushing this post that way. Obviously when I pull on this post, it tensions that wire right back up. And then you can see the tensioning rods here. Don't really know what we're doing all that well. Not really sure what's going on here. I kind of just threw one around there. These tension ratchets are really nice once you know how to use them. Once you're trying to figure it out, it is a real pain. So obviously it's got a few flaws in it. You know, it's not perfect and it's not great by any means. Also a little bit overkill for dogs, but it was a great learning experience. Kind of learned about, you know, what'll work, what won't work once we go to eventually fence these pastures and eventually the entire property. Like I said, it's not beautiful, but it was nice to learn on. Also just got another call from Ford. They're done inspecting the truck. I can go get it today. Unfortunately, they won't be able to fix the valve or the oil leak for another couple of weeks. They told me the leak is really small and the valve is not really a huge concern as far as priority, so waiting a couple weeks shouldn't be an issue. I hope they're right on that and it doesn't cause further problems, but I do have that scheduled, so I'm probably gonna go pick up the truck here in an hour or so, which will be nice because maybe I can actually get some work done today. Well, while I'm waiting for the truck to be done, I'm gonna catch up on some editing, get a couple videos busted out real quick, and then hopefully it won't be too long and go pick the truck up. Alrighty, got the update video edited and posted. It should be live by the time you guys are watching this video, so make sure you guys check that video out. I just got a call from Ford. The truck is ready, so I'm gonna go pick that up real quick and then we'll see what else the day has for us. There she is. Hopefully feeling a little bit better now. Alrighty, we got the truck back. Went ahead, did an oil change on it since it was already here and I was due up here pretty soon. Just make it a little bit easier. Do have to bring it back in a couple of weeks to get the oil leak fixed, as well as whatever valve in the rear is acting up. But at least she should be good to go for a little bit, and hopefully we won't have to worry about anything happening. You heard? Alrighty, well, we have made it back to the house. Just finished up with some dinner. I'm very glad that the truck is gonna be all right and it's nothing too major, because I was a little concerned about it. I came down here to burn some of this brush off and I realized it is still way too wet to even burn. I just tried to get it lighted up and it didn't do anything. So that's a nice fail for the night. Now I gotta figure out something to do with my night because I didn't do any work today and I'm really just kind of anxious to get something done. So we'll have to figure something out. And since we're on the topic of my truck today, I figure it'd be a good time to show you guys kind of the mods and upgrades that I've done over the last year or so. Nothing really too major, just a couple customizations that I've done. First up are these marker lights that I put here in the grill. They're from f150leds.com. They make some pretty cool products. I believe these were $100 if I'm not mistaken, so not terribly expensive. So the wires for these run up behind this. They come out right here, if you guys can see that. All three of them come out right here, and they have this little quick splice connector that just taps into this side marker light right here. So obviously, just like the side marker lights, anytime you unlock the truck, they come on as well. Next up are these little pod lights right here, off-road lights, whatever you want to call them. I got them from a company called Last Fit. I bought those online. I think they're about $129 if I'm not mistaken. They actually help quite a bit. They kind of light up the sides of the road and kind of off to the distance. That way you can see if there's anything going to run out in front of you or any people or animals that are on the side of the road. So these have a wire that run from each of them and they come up here and meet in the middle. I can't think of the term off the top of my head right now, but they have cables that run with a little washer on the end of it that you just stick underneath the battery nut there. And then it has a switch that runs through the rubber grommet that's on the driver's side here up into the cab. And I've got mine mounted to the right of the steering wheel. Obviously when the red button's on, they're off, and when the green button is on, green light is on, excuse me, then they are on. Those lights may look pretty small, but they actually do make quite the difference. And the last thing on here are these towing mirrors here. These did not come stock on this truck. I ended up damaging my passenger side mirror, so when it came time to replace them, I was like, well, might as well upgrade to the towing mirrors. It gives you a little bit more visibility when you're pulling something, and they're really nice to have. I'm not the biggest fan on the way they look on F-150s, but honestly, they make a huge difference when you're trying to back in a trailer or just seeing traffic in general. Well, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed that little rundown on my truck. I know there's really not too much that I've really done to it. Eventually I would like to maybe put ranch hand on the front of it, something like that, some kind of brush guard. I think that'd be a really cool feature to add. I also think it was kind of cool to give a little bit of a different side of things today, you know, not really so focused on the property, but, you know, kind of just going with me throughout my day. You know, I do enjoy filming both kinds of videos. I try to give it a fair share of a mix-up just so it's not the same thing in every single video. With that being said, I will be getting right back to logging tomorrow, cutting a lot of trees down out in our woods, so I will be filming another video tomorrow, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to use my GoPro a little bit more. I used it in a previous video, and there's a little bit of a blurry spot on the lens just because there's a crack in the protective layer of the lens. So, you know, minor details, but hopefully the footage will turn out pretty alright. And down the line, I do plan on upgrading my cameras, so eventually, you know, we won't have any more blurry screens or anything like that. It should be pretty solid, and the new GoPro would definitely help out. I mentioned it in a previous video, but we are getting our tractor on Friday. It is currently Wednesday, so just 2 more sleeps, then I'll wake up, and be a very exciting day for us to finally take ownership of our tractor, which I should be making a pretty long video that day, so make sure you guys are staying on the lookout for that. And if you haven't already, make sure you go watch my update video. I share a lot of information about myself and the property, kind of what our plans are. That'll be the previous video. I'll try to link it in the description below. With all that being said, I am going to wrap it up for the night. As always, I appreciate y'all's support. The last few videos have really kind of taken off, so I appreciate y'all if you are sharing it, leaving likes, and subscribing. That really helps me out a lot. As always, I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.